Everyone, now I am going to create a new store procedure. First you have to click on the database and then right click and then new query. Then you have to write the SQL queries for creating a new store procedure. So I have already writing down all those queries for a store procedure. I have copied that from the file and pasted the newly created query window, pasted it here. First I can check the parsing all those script, then I can click on execute. You can see that the command is completed successfully. That means that the store procedure is already created. You have to take care about the naming convention as well. I am writing this store procedure for giving the task follow-up details, and the task is belongs to the CMN common framework structure, so that's why the prefix is CMN. Then you can click on the store procedure and click on the refresh button. Then you will have the uh, get task follow-up new store procedure. You can check the store procedure by execute the procedure with this with some values, like here you will see there is no values actually, but you can see what should be the value is like. Let me check that what is the task number. Okay, and maybe the follow-up as well, task follow-up. You can see the task number, so we can change the task number and see the output. You can see basically this is the value. You can see the two follow-up is here. You can check with some from the application as well. So that is the creating the store procedure. Now because we are creating this store procedure for this store procedure should become in the custom report, custom form designer data source. So what you have to do, you have to open the store procedure, then sys get custom from data source name. You have to right click and then modify, and here you can see that the list of the store procedure we have. So just copy any of the store procedure and paste it, and copy the name of the newly created store procedure and paste it in here. And you can see that I have copied and pasted in here, and you have to execute this thing as well. So that is the steps you have to follow to creating a new store procedure. So now we have to use this store procedure and map designing a custom form from the application. As we have already created the new store procedure based on the task follow-up, now we have to design the custom form. I have clicked on the left hand menu tools and then custom forms. Here the custom forms is already created. You can see the last custom form name is task details. You have to click on this design custom form link. Yes, so there is already have some data. So then what you have to do, you can expand the fields list, and you can see that there is already a store procedure value, that is CMN task info. So click on the SQL data source, and then you have to click on the add query button. In the add query button, you have to add the data source, because we have created a store procedure, so we have to click on this store procedure link. Then you have to find the appropriate store procedure, like here for this one we have the CMN get task follow-up thing, and the parameter is task info. Then click on next. The next phase, what you have to do, you have to map to the parameter for the task ID. The type should be expression, and then remove the zero default value and click on the right side of the value field. And as you see that there is two parameters already created for this report, that is ID and the entity type. For the task ID, our value is we can find that value for this ID parameter. Just double click on this one, this expression editor will come in here, and then click on save. You can see this in value parameter .id is coming here. Then you have to click on save. So basically you have created another data source for this task, so that will give you all those things like company, follow update, follow by, position and type. As you can see that the same value we can see from the store procedure. Now because in the task info there is the very basic information of the task, but the task follow-up is the least thing, so it will we have to show this as something like as a tabular format. So what you have to do, first you have to create a new band. Like for this one you have to click on the what is called is the the setting things, and then you will find there is a option to insert detail report band. You have to click on that one, then the detail is coming in here. So in the detail window actually you have to drag and drop the data source, but you know that when you are going to display a tabular format things, you have to write the table columns as well. For the table column names we have to add the another group header band under the detail report. So what you have to do, first you have to click on this detail band, that this is selected detail report 1, then you have to click the group header band. So this you can see that the group header band is under the detail report band. So for the group header you can allow some areas to put your column table format column names, and you can shrink those the other things, like you don't need anything because this part is actually redundant, so it will creating through the loop of the data source. Okay, go back to the fields again and just drag and drop the data source like this and paste it in here. Okay, so the another interesting things, what should be the order? You can check the order from the original task information. Let's go one of the task information that have some the follow-up information, like first the follow-up date, then type, the position, company, follow-up date and time, those things. And the follow-up date, type, position. Okay, it seems like all the ordering is fine, and then you have to check the ordering with the form as well. First, what is first? The follow-up by. So click on this one and go to the settings again. You can see the data binding is first is you can see that the first column is based on the company, because in the data source all the column is coming actually based on the ascending order or the column name, but we do not want to show same as the a column name ordering. It should be the user defined, because you drag and drop those tables, basically the same ordering you can see in the data source is automatically coming, but we do not want that. So what we have to do, the first thing we have to do, follow up by. So click on that particular column and go to the settings, and in the data binding section just drag and drop the click on the drag and the drop down button, then you have the all those things like follow up by. Just select this follow up by. So this is changed by follow up by. The first thing is follow up by, then type, position. The same thing you have to do for the type and position. This is the type, and then next thing is the position. After that company and follow up date and time. The fourth is the company and the follow up date and time, the last one, the follow up date. Okay, so click on the save button, and we can make a check as well, because we have the ID of the task is a 149. You can click on this one, and here is the option to you can check your data is coming or not, like click on the preview and you have to paste the parameter. Okay, and click on the submit button, and you see that the little bit zoom it. Yeah, I can see the information is already coming, but the first information also coming, and Bridget Roland is contact, executive director, and some company ID and date. So first thing first is that the date format you might need to change. There is no header because you do not put it yet, but only one row is coming here. It should become two row, because that for the task 149 there should be 2 rows, but only 1 row is coming, so we have to do something on that one. Let's go back to the designer again, click on this design things, and then click on the detail report. Here you can see that the data source is not selected. Actually this is the reason that's why the multiple row is not coming. So in the data source area you have to click on the data source, and the data member area you have to select the data member as well. Click on the save, and then again preview, paste the task ID and click on submit. Here you can see that 2 rows is coming. The few things you have to notice here, like the column width should be quite bit different, because the column width we need to have the type is not not need for the other type of column as well. So we have to adjust those things. We have to add the add the column name. Let's do that. I will suggest you to do when you are going to design something as a report. So you can do, okay, report header is coming. I think we do not need that one. You can do something on this. Okay, you cannot do anything on that one, but what you can do, few things, like here this is actually not needed. You can click on here to reuse, allow some extra time areas, and here as well to collapse. So now you can see that you will have some good big screen for designing your report, and you can zoom your report as well. So that will help you to designing your report, because you have some enough number of space here, okay. So let's do it. First, what we have to do, we have to drag few levels. You can see, okay, the follow-up type should not be need enough areas, I guess. So you can adjust those areas, and also allows some areas. I will back when I design all those things, okay. Okay, so as you see that I have already drag and drop the data source. Now what I have to do, I have to put the column names in here. So so far I found the best way to do that. In the header areas we can drag and drop the data source again, like in here. You can see all those column is coming in here. So because the existing report designer table doesn't have you cannot define the columns, so so it will be very difficult to drag and drop all those levels and rename those things. That will be very hard for anyone. So I suggested you drag and drop the data source again, then you have the exactly number of columns you need it. You can delete selecting by any of the cell, and then go to the settings, and here you can see that there is a option for the data binding. So let's go there, the data binding system, select the table. I think the table you have each and every cell is the data binding. So click on the cell first, then you will see the data areas. Here you can see the text is binded also with some data sources. Just select that as a none, so the table cell is free. Like click on the next one, and the text field just click on none. So by this way you can remove the relationship between the data source and the tables. So I did the same thing. Now I am deleting this one because I have already created this one. The next challenge is the width should be same as your data source have. So that is the next challenge. You can see that there is some dissimilarities. So I found a way to do the design quite a bit easier to do. The first thing you have to do, zoom the report designer. It will really help you to understand the basic thing, like the width should be similar to the data source. Like currently in the report designer we have 500 of the zoom facility. We can use this one. So here I zoom it, so everything is very larger. So as you see that the starting is the same. So what is the the first column? Actually the first column is the follow up by. Okay, so we have to write this as a follow by follow up by, I think this is the spelling, I have to check it out in here as well. U should be uppercase, so I can make the changes the thing. Okay, so now the column name is done, but the next thing you have to do, this the column name should be bold. So for that one, I think under the data and under text you can have the column name, and for the text thing I think there should some another area we have to go, like not the style, maybe action, no, the appearance is the area. So font is there, so I can under the font there is a bold action, so you can just click on this one, the B, so you can change the font name and the size as well. So that is done. The next thing is the biggest challenge I would say in the report designer is the with the size. So how do you see the size? You can see the under the design and layout here is a size parameter. So just click on the first column, you can see that the size is 162.06. just copy this one and click the column action column cell as well and paste it in here. So and click on this, you can see that the column is the same size. Go to the next one, as I do the same thing as well. This is the task follow, that is the go to the data area as well. Data table cell is mapped with task type, so our top should be, the top one should be type as well, and then the size, let's see what is the size is 11109. do the same thing in here, like I said. In this way we can adjust all those column name and size. This is the position, I guess, yeah, position. So just click on this one, and table cell text is the position, and size is 36.62. do the same thing you can do in here as well, and do the same thing, like here you have the company, so I can paste the company, and the width is 138, and copy the paste in 138. I guess the last column we have to adjust is the follow up date and time actually. So it should be follow up date and time. And I think for this time what we can do, we can increase some areas in here maybe, yeah, and copy the width and paste it in the next column. Okay, the same thing. So the other thing what I did, like you can select the column, you can select the table one is selected, and for the appearance section, I have clicked this one, the show the all the borders. Here is the show no border, the show all border. You can deselect any of the, like if you click on this one, the last one, then you can see that the down border is not coming in here. So in this way you can do that. So now, as you said, this is very easy to understand. The alignment is right because your report designer in the larger mode. So you zoom as a 500% of the designer. So now we can back to the basic 100% of the design. click on save button. Then you can check with the parameter value as well, 149. Submit this one, and you can see that the report is designing quite a bit. I think it's a report is already designed fine, but you have to, here you have to check the view very again. What you have to do, you have to zoom the view position, and you have to check your report is, how it is looking like. So that will help you to, make some modification what you actually need to do. The first thing first, you have to do that there is a, gap between the columns and the data source. So you have to do that, and you also check that the first column is only bold, the others is not, and the format you might need to change, or maybe not. And in the second row you can see that this one is bold too much, I think. So what I will do, I will go back to the design mode again and zoom it as a 500. So what I have to do, the second table, actually I found that the second table we don't need to, second table we do not need to do all those things, like we do not need to border all those things, because it will repeat it. So the second column, second rows, it will duplicate it. So I will remove the top part of this second table. And in the first table, there is some maybe, let me see that there is some problem. So I saw that the table might need to I think that's the correct thing. So there is some spaces between those two those two tables. So 149, let's submit this one. Let's see how this looks like. I think it looks like perfect now. Okay, so let's zoom it 150%. That will help you to put this all together things now. I think 200, yeah, this border is actually accurate in shape. So I think our report designer is completed. Just we have to do the bold all those columns, and something for the time date and time format as well. Let's do that. Go to design mode as well again, and bold all those columns. For the date formatting, what you have to do, you have to click on this the particular column. Here you can see that the field name is the follow-up date. So under the text of the follow-up date, in the format string, you have to write the format string like this way, and the second bracket, second open curly bracket, then 0, then colon, then your desired format, and then second closing bracket. So this is the formatting. Then you have to click on the save button. So and you can verify the design from that all those data by the same way we did. So that is the designing those reports. So I have to mention something, like when you are going to create the new report, you have to first you have to create the parameters. Like the first step should be the creating those parameters, designing the report, the parameters, what are the parameters you really need. Okay, so here I need the ID, that is the task ID, and the entity type is the entity type that is not mapped with the follow-up information, but there is some other things that that will be necessary. Like if you go to the task details, you can see that there is some notes and communication, all those things. Like in this task there is no notes. Let's add some notes, like Lauren Lipsum. So now I am going to add the another list section, the note information for this particular task. So for that one I have to add another query in here by clicking on the add query, like a store procedure, then the notes, actually departments, this the notes. It will be difficult, maybe some other thing like communication log. I think notes have some problems. So what we have to do, we can add some communication, like a status is open, subject is blah blah blah, like So I have added to communication log in here. So we can add for the communication log, because the parameter is the entity ID and the entity type that is already mapped with the report, so that will be shoot for 100%. And for the note, I think we have to add another parameter, because there is a condition you have to show the private note based on the login user, so we cannot do that thing right now. So let's go ahead. For the entity type is actually the task ID, so we can map to the task ID, like you can see that. And for the entity type, that should be the entity type. Yeah, this entity type. So finish. So there should be some new data sources coming at the communication log. So we have to add another report band to show this communication log informations, like in the report areas, in the behavior section, action section, we have to add another insert detail report. Just select on the margin areas and you can add another, like another detail report is added, detail section is added. Then I have to add some header for this thing. The same technique I am going to apply, and let's drag and drop the communication log tables. Actually, what I am going to do, I'm drag and drop twice, because the another one is necessary, for the column information. And maybe we need to increase the distance, because I am going to put some information on the top of the group header, so they have to understand what is in the communication log. For this one, I can copy this task details and paste it in here and write some information like the task communication logs. So by this way, some adding some heading. The same thing I can do for the task follow up info. Okay, so the next thing what I have to do, just select this one and just change the bindings. That is not the thing. So for all the the column heading, I have to deselect the bindings. You can see the way I am doing. It's not that worth, initially you will think that. Okay, so first, and now we have to think what it would be the the ordering of those all those report design, like the subject, date, time, method. So let's find out, is it the first one is the subject? No, it's created by, so you can change it out from here. The communication log is the subject, so copy the column name and paste it in the upper column areas, you can see. And I think you can do the multiple things, like select all those. I think what you can do, you can select the table, and in the font area, like bold it, all those things. Yeah, it's very easy. So next column is the date, time, and the method. So this should be the date, time. Let's see, date, time, copy the column name and paste it in here, date, time. And the next is the method status, so it should be the method. I can write it down here. And next is the status, created by, date created, should be statu status, created by, and the date created, or maybe created date, date created, whatever you want to do. The method is there. Check the status column, status, and the created by column, created by, and the last one is the date created. Ah, and as you know, the date created is the date and time format, so the date and time format should be changed. As we can see, then there is a specific format is the day, month and year. So let's do the necessary changes in here. Like we can go to the data binding areas, and that here you have to put the value like day, month, year, hour, minute. So I think it's done. Let's click on save and try to find out some information like 149. Let's see the data first, then we'll go. No data found in here, because the entity type is not provided. Let's find out what is the entity type on that for the task. Task follow up, entity type is not there. CMN communication log, the entity type 105. Okay, so let's put this 105. Yeah, you can see the subject is coming and all those things coming. So we have to follow the same process as we do in the task follow up. We have to do the same thing in the task communication log. So that's the basic of the report designer. If you have any problem, just ask me to, I will help you the other areas. Thank you.